Well, it's the unknown mechanic back again, and you get to look over my shoulder while I try to repair a professional Stihl chainsaw. This channel is for the shop owner who maybe doesn't have technicians that are quite up to par, or an aspiring mechanic who wants to raise their level of proficiency and become reliable and dependable and do the difficult work the first time without making mistakes. And also the homeowner do-it-yourselfer who might want to tackle this job on your own. Once you see the tools that are needed to do a quality job, you might scare you away and just take it into the shop and have a pro do it. But you can see how it's done the proper way. This saw belongs to Tate Buster Pudge, and it says remove and replace broken bar stud. Okay, so I can see the broken stud is hanging out of here. And I've already done some advanced research and parts lookup for this, and I've got what I think I need to do it. And we're just going to take this off and talk about what we see here. So this is the right bar stud, and this is a quite new MS661C-M. Judging by the emission sticker that's on it, it is a 3.0 revision, which is pretty new in the M-tronic revision. It identifies it as having the newer solenoid and the latest chip in the control unit. And in this family of saws, there are quite a number of different bar studs. They've changed the bar stud design a few times over the last number of years. And so you do have to be careful, when you look up the studs, that you get the right one. This one I know is right. And you can see that about 50 to 60% of it broke off, and it's stuck in the case. And that's going to make it a little tougher to extract the broken piece because it's not flush. It's recessed down in there that far. So you need to be very careful how you drill and what type of extractors that you choose to guarantee a good chance of success. And I've had a lot of crappy mechanics, and a number of them, I wouldn't even trust them at all with a job like this. We had Scratch and Dingus and Gomer and Sniffles, and even going way back, we had Secret Agent Man, and our newest mechanic, Speedy. Now, out of all those, I would possibly trust it to Secret Agent Man or Scratch or maybe Speedy. But Dingus, Sniffles, Gomer, no way. You turn over a $1,700 pro saw to, a novice like that, and they'll end up drilling crooked and turning the crankcase into Swiss cheese. You can't do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up with a plan to safely extract that broken off stud half. And I'm going to show you a couple of different stud removers and some different extractors. Now, referring to, I did find two sources of bar stud information. This is a service bulletin, and it's a little out of date, but it's a little bit more up to date than what was on Stihl's website. They have a bar stud replacement thing on their website, and unfortunately it mostly applies to the homeowner polymer housing saws. And those studs, they do not have a fine thread metric pitch going into a magnesium crankcase. They have a very coarse plastic type thread to go into a polymer crankcase. And usually when those strip out, Stihl supplies a 9mm oversize coarse thread stud as a repair. And this chart has quite a few of the 9mm oversize studs for the homeowner plastic crankcase saws. And this is even a little out of date because I was just looking at an MS194T customer brought in, and he pulled the 8mm stud out of the case, and I looked up the part number. It's not on this chart. It's a newer number, and I didn't have it, so I had to order it. So he's waiting, and I'm going to be doing that pretty soon. And that doesn't require any kind of tapping or drilling. You just take the 9mm oversized stud and you thread it down into the polymer housing, and it bottoms out, and you're done. That's the repair. But on a Pro saw, they don't supply 10mm oversized studs for when the 8mm threads strip out. I think there's only one oversized 10mm stud, and it's for very, very old models like the 056. So they've also upgraded the Loctite. It says on here that the previous Loctite was either 243 or USA 242, and they want that upgraded to 270. And I've got 271 here. That's what I'm going to use when I go back with the new studs. Now, as far as extractors go, well, let's talk about the stud installation and removing. These stud tools that Stihl supplies are only good for installing the studs. They will not remove the studs. And so I've never ordered these. I don't have those. The one that I like to use is, this is a snap-on. It's a CJ700-1, and it is a collet type extractor. There's a pressure screw on the back, and there's a 8 by 1.25mm metric collet. And there was a family of American and metric collets that fit this stud extractor. This is the only one that I have, is an 8 by 1.25. And when this pressure screw is tightened down, that collet locks onto these studs so tight that you could break one in half. And this type of a stud tool will remove and install. So that's why I like this one. And unfortunately, Snap-on stopped making this. This is no longer available. So that makes this priceless. I would never part with this. And we're going to be using that. Like, I don't trust this stud. I want to back that one out. And I'm going to be using this to back that out. And I'm going to be using this to install the new one. So what I have here in the way of extractors, got some different extractors, and we could talk about that. This is a Snap-on set, and what's unique about this set is that the drills for the extractors are left-hand drill bits. You put the drill in reverse and they go backwards. And that can sometimes be helpful if there's no Loctite on the stud and it's broken off and it's down in there and it's pretty free. if you put your drill in reverse and use a left-handed bit, it's possible that the drill bit will catch hold of it and spin it out of the hole, saving you a lot of work. I don't think that's going to work in this case because they put Loctite on these at the factory. This style of extractor has a very steep spiral. The spirals are pretty steep, and that allows you to drive them in with a hammer to set them, and then they grip pretty well. This other style of tapered extractor, this is another newer set that I have. The spiral is very shallow, and on this shallow type, you do not drive them in to set them. You screw them in, and they set themselves by turning counterclockwise. Now, what I'm going to do, you have to give yourself the greatest chance of success. I have another extractor set, and this set uses a splined style. The splines are straight, and it has a set of pilots, and you can drill your broken off stud with the right size drill bit that's supplied here. You got that ready to go here, and then you drive this extractor into the broken off fastener, and then the removal nut goes on there, and you take a wrench. And the advantage with this style of extractor is that you can go forwards and backwards. Now, there is a little bit of thread damage because the customer was poking around in there trying to get that out of there. And so if those threads are boogered enough, it's going to make it difficult to back the broken off stud outward. But, there is a possibility that this is a through hole in the crankcase and the other end goes into the oil tank. And so if I have an extractor of this style and it's locked into the broken off stud and it doesn't want to come out, I may be able to turn it in and have the whole thing go inside the oil tank and retrieve it by opening up the oil cap and getting a magnet and retrieving it. And so I'm going to use this style because that gives me two possible ways to get the stud out. I can back the stud out, and if that doesn't work, then I can try going forward and go in. So I'm not positive that this goes into the oil tank. I'm going to try to go out first, and if it doesn't want to go out, then I'm going to open up the oil cap and look in there with a flashlight and see if I can see the other side of this hole. So now the tricky part is drilling the center of that broken off stud. Now this extractor kit, it does come with some drill guides, and however, this is not a metric set. These drill guides are American English threads, and this one, it fits too loose, and the next size up will not go in the hole. It's too big. So I don't have an in-between size. So I'm going to be using a special method. This is one of the secrets, the tricks. If you want to know the secret of how to do this, this is going to be revealing one of the secrets. What I have here, this just came out of my nut and bolt assortment. This is an 8 by 1.25 metric cap screw, and it's a pretty short one. It's probably similar to the length there. It's pretty close. And what you can do is you can manufacture your own drill guide. See that threads into the hole until it sits on top of the broken off stud. And I'm going to be using the lathe, and I'm going to drill a perfectly centered hole as a drill guide with this size drill. So I'm going to pause the camera and then go over to the lathe, and you can see that drilling operation. Then when we come back, we're going to use it. Okay, back from the lathe. Successfully made a secret trick of the trade tool. Let's see, I think I'm going to switch out my squeaky stool here. You hear better. Go to a regular stool. All right. That's better. Okay, so I did open up the oil cap and look in the oil tank, and indeed you can clearly see in plain view the back side of that stud. So like I mentioned, I've chosen this style of extractor. This is a non-tapered straight extractor. And that gives me another advantage. If I drill all the way through into the oil tank, through the broken stud, if this extractor were to break off in the broken fastener, that allows me an escape path. I can take a hammer and a punch and I can drive the broken extractor all the way through into the oil tank. And that would allow me to, resort to using one of these other style tapered extractors. So lots of possibilities. So I'll bring this in here. So you can see that this standard metric 8mm cap screw is now been turned into a drill pilot, a drill guide. And if the stud were broken off flush with the surface of the bar pad, this method would not work. May not be necessary, because if it was broken off flush, then it would be exposed and would be easier to drill in the center and so forth. But since it's recessed down in there, this is my secret method. So I can screw this down in there until it sits on top of the broken stud, and that's going to guarantee that when I drill this, it's going to be as straight as possible. And if I fail, I can work from inside the oil tank. So I've got a snap-on drill. I really like this one. It's variable speed, and what I like about it is that it's very ergonomic, and it allows me to push very straight, no crookedness with this. I like the feel of this drill, the way that it fits. It's perfect. This is it's a snap-on, and I can't see the number on it. Don't know what model this one is. But anyway, we're gonna do some drilling, and I'm gonna drill all the way through now that I know that the opposite side is exposed to the oil tank. And I have an approximate idea of when it's going to break through, because I've compared the length of all of this stuff, the drill guide and the what's broken off on the stud compared to the length of the flutes on the drill. So I know I'm going to have to drill pretty deep before it goes all the way through. And I am going to be using cutting fluid, most definitely. Just fill up the hole there. Make sure I'm in forward. And it's through. Let's come in for a close-up here. Well, I got very, very lucky. It looks like what happened is the drill, when it started to break through the back end of the stud, it grabbed what was left of the stud and screwed it in. So I think that I'm going to be able to get it right out of the oil tank. I can still see it in there. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's still in there. It's just in a lot deeper. So that's good news. That's going to come right out. Well, I guess so I don't have to go fishing for it. I'll go this way. If it gets too tight, I'm going to go the other way. Yeah, it's coming. I can see it. And there it is. Okay, and then if you look carefully, you can see where the drill was just about ready to break through the back side of the stud. It didn't break through. It started to break through, then it grabbed it and it spun it into the hole. And also you noticed how exact in the center that is. That's not off center. That's hugely important. If you drill crooked, you're going to have a problem. So the threads are indeed intact. I'm going to take some oil off of there. And we're going to install the new stud. I'm going to have to tighten this up. I'm going to apply some Loctite to it. Okay, that's pretty tight. And I'm putting my Loctite on. And I've already looked up this torque specification. Calls out for 23 Newton meters. And I don't have I've got my old school torque wrench with me, so I had to use the conversion and convert it to foot-pounds. It's 17 foot-pounds, so I'm going to dial up my torque wrench there. There's 10, 15, 16, 17. So we've got our torque wrench set at 17 foot-pounds, which is 23 Newton meters. There it is. So that is the proper torque for that bar stud. Loosen up the pressure screw, and the stud installer remover comes right off, and that's a brand new stud securely in there. And the broken stud is extracted. So now I don't like, there's some damage to the shoulder. I'm going to bring this in and take a look. Okay, you can see right there that there is some damage to that collar on that stud. And so that's why I'm going to replace that one as well. And when you have the right tools, the stuff comes out easily. You don't have to fight with it. So I'm going to be using the brake cleaner or the carb cleaner and taking the bar and chain oil. I drain the oil out of the tank, and I want to degrease those threads. That's the other stud. All right, so there's a good look at the damage on this one. That's why I want to replace it. Still got my torque wrench set at 17 foot-pounds. The Loctite on there. Probably hear me better without the squeaky stool. Okay. And then we put the torque wrench on there. It's already set. Got to go tighter on the collet. There it is. Okay, I don't want to make my video too long. I am going to install the proper inside spike with the correct hardware and tighten up the outside spike. I'm going to address the chain catcher, and I was thinking about replacing these captive bar nuts, and I do have the tool to flare the new bar nuts. But I think I'm going to let these go. They're not that bad. That'll be a video for another day. Another day we will get a pro saw that has the threads pulled out of the magnesium case, and that's going to require a helicoil, and that's a whole nother video that's highly important. You're going to need to see when I tackle one of those. Installing a helicoil in a crankcase is also a very critical, delicate procedure. If it's done incorrectly, you're going to have problems. You can ruin the whole saw. If it's done correctly, it'll be stronger than the original threads in the magnesium case. So the flaring tool to install new captive bar nuts will be another day, and putting an 8mm helicoil and new studs in a stripped case will be another day. That's going to be a wrap. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Please leave some comments. Nobody ever leaves any comments, and hopefully this will help the aspiring mechanic out there that doesn't want to be a dingus, a gomer, or sniffles. And it will help the shop owner, bring up their mechanics up a level, or the do-it-yourselfer. If you want to tackle this on your own, this is the way to do it successfully. So that's it for today for the Unknown Mechanic.